Hello, Arvind ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Yes. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi, Sahitya.
Yes, sir. I'm just giving you the host.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You can carry on.
Okay. 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 So, good afternoon, guys. Sorry for late. Actually, I was on something and I missed the time. Okay. So, I think yesterday we discussed it regarding, and we saw the block explorer and we saw how a blockchain transaction happens end to end, and then we understood the locking and unlocking script. We understood the concept of UTXO, right? So today we'll look into mining. Okay. So, and we'll look into forking. So these are the two concepts which we'll understand today. And I'm sure most of you uh, are waiting, like, what is this hash puzzle? Okay. And how a block is added and what's happening with respect to a puzzle, right? So I'll try to explain the same today. Okay. And we shall discuss about it. So just give me a moment. I'm sharing the screen. Okay. So how to solve a cryptographic hash puzzle? Okay. So this is something which we'll try to understand. And before going to this, I'll give a brief understanding of what this puzzle is actually all about. Okay. So let me use my slate and explain you what is this puzzle. Okay. So if you remember, last time I told you every block, okay, every block is added by node which solves the puzzle, right? So now what is this block? I told you already, transactions are pooled together till 4 MB size, okay, and they are pulled together to create a block. And before adding a block, the node should use its private key, okay, private key, sign it and calculate. Sorry, okay, 1 second. It will calculate the hash, okay. If hash value of block matches with the puzzle, then using private key, sign it and broadcast. Okay. So now first thing you need to understand, puzzle is given by protocol. Okay. And what is this puzzle? Okay, so say for example, a hash value is a 256 bit number, or it is 32 bit, okay, so it's not bit, 32 digit hexadecimal number. And last time, if you remember, I showed you block hash. Okay, when I showed you block explorer, I showed you how the hash value of explorer looks like, right? I hope you remember. Every block has a hash value which is calculated. Okay, now what happens with puzzle? This puzzle is nothing but (256) bits, right? Or 32 digits of hexadecimal number. Okay, now what happens with puzzle is, some fields are okay, some digits are predefined, okay, will be given, okay, given by protocol, and these numbers change with every time slot, but few fields will be given. Okay, now imagine 32 bits, 32 bits are not given, and 256 minus 32 is 422. 224 bits is randomly given by protocol, and 32 bits is not given. Okay, it is X. Okay, now, okay, now let's come to this at later stage. Now let's look at someone in the group some days back, like a day or two, asked about if the computation power, okay, now if the computation power of a node is high, does it mean the high performance computer will solve the puzzle all the time? No, because even though the puzzle is same, the pool of transactions of each node will be different. Okay, this is something which is a very thin line you need to understand. Okay, I'll tell you example. Okay, this node is in China, this node is in India, this node Singapore. Okay, this node is in UK, and this node in is Africa. Okay, all these nodes in the network are connected with each other, right? We know this. So this is the blockchain. Now imagine this is the blockchain. Now there will be few transactions in US by US users who will be touching this node first. So verification and validation happens at two levels. One level is transaction level, the second level is block level. So as soon as US node receives few transactions, it will validate individual transactions, it will broadcast. Similarly, Indian users will be doing couple of transactions, they will be received by Indian nodes, and then they will be broadcasted, and so on. So every node at a given point of time will have different set of transactions. Even though all the nodes in the network will validate every transaction, but the new transactions which are yet to be added to the block will be different for different nodes. Because imagine a block is 4 MB size, which can typically put 1000 transactions, assume 1000 transactions, but overall network will have at least 2000 transactions or 1500 transactions. Example. Okay, so at a given point of time, this 1000 of US node will be different. This 1000 of African node is different. So the pool will be different. Okay, now imagine, even though these nodes doesn't know, the block which is to be added, protocol somehow will generate a random number. Okay, and the protocol doesn't fill some fields for all nodes to calculate the puzzle and match with it. Okay, now imagine US node with its transaction, with its 1000 transaction pool which is there with it, will calculate hash value. Okay, now if and there is another field called as nonce and difficulty. If at least 32 bits, this random number, right? Now 32 bits is something which can vary, but 224 bits should match. Okay, now if the hash value of generated by US node is matching majorly, at least to extent of 32 bits, then the puzzle is deemed to be solved. Now, what is difficulty? Difficulty is nothing but if you reduce the number of fields. Okay, now imagine instead of 32, you made it 22. Now, more number of fields should match. That means it is very tough. So, to give you a simple example, let's take Sudoku. 9 by 9 Sudoku. Okay, now, yeah, of course, even within this, there will be 9, right? More the number of is given, what happens? The puzzle becomes easy. Less number of numbers are given, puzzles become tough. Similarly, more the norms, puzzle is easy. Less the norms, puzzle is tough. That is how difficulty is set. And difficulty is calculated with a mathematical principle. I'll explain you that. Now imagine the hash value calculated by US node is not matching with the puzzle. Now what will US node do? If it is within 10 minutes, within 10 minutes slot, it will remove few transactions. It will include new transactions which are received recently. And again, it will create a new pool of 1000. It will calculate hash value. It will compare if it is matching. Not matching, remove few transactions, include new transactions which are received, and so on. Like that, every node will be doing the same process of permutations and combinations. And meanwhile, within 10 minutes, there will be one node which will be solving the puzzle. And this puzzle, now it has 1000 transactions. Okay, now it will sign it and it will broadcast the block. At a transaction level, you need not worry whether you solve the puzzle or not. You should verify every transaction, but you can broadcast a block or you can create a block only when you solve the puzzle. So along with the block, the puzzle is also the puzzle, the hash value is, anyways, everyone will be calculating and using the same hash function. As soon as this block is received by other nodes, the nodes will calculate the hash value and because they know puzzle, they will compare the hash value and they will compare it with puzzle. And all the nodes in the network will agree because the hash value is matching with the puzzle with a given nonce condition. So that is how at a given point of time, only one node will be able to solve the puzzle. Okay. Now I will look at the questions. Yeah, 64 digit. Yes. Yeah, hexadecimal number is 4-bit. 256 by 4. Okay. So yes, it is 64-bit hexadecimal number. Okay. Okay, can you repeat again? Okay, what is a norm? Norm is nothing but which is followed by everyone. Nonce. Are you asking nonce, Lakshmi? Okay. Okay, 1 second. I will explain you. Okay. See. Say for example, there is a 8-bit password. Okay. And if 3 bits, okay, so if 6 bits match, you can log in. Okay, imagine that is a condition written in the algorithm. Okay, now there is a 8-bit password. So for a 8-bit password, what are the possibilities? 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, 0 1 1 0 1 1. And so on till all ones. Okay, now these are all possibilities. Okay, what is this? Possibilities. Okay, now imagine I gave a hint of the password saying it is these 2 bits are not given. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and these 2 are not given. Okay, now you need to try all the possibilities. For trying the possibilities, you can't just put all zeros, all ones. Okay, you need to calculate you need to solve hash value. Okay, imagine hash value is a 8-bit number. Okay, in this case. Okay, now you have a block, you have transactions, and you need to calculate hash of this. And if hash of this is coming as 0 0 0 0 1 1 0 1, okay, is it matching? No. Now you removed few transactions, you added new transactions which came in, which were broadcasted by other users. Okay, now you have again new transactions and you calculated hash value, and in that case the answer you got is, the hash value you got is 1 1 1 1 0 0 1 1. then you are considered to be solved the puzzle, because at least 6 bits are matching. Anyways, these two are random. You can get 0 0 0 1, anything. I am not worried. So the puzzle is not worried. But if you can match at least 6 bits, I consider you to be solving the puzzle. So solving the puzzle is nothing but calculating the hash and matching it with the random number given by protocol. And the protocol will make sure, or it is an algorithm, even what to say, how the puzzle works is still a mystery. But still, the point you need to understand is, if majority of the bits are matching, then you are deemed to be solved the puzzle. Now, how the difficulty is calculated? Initially the difficulty was only 1. That means probably only 1 bit is to be matched. Okay, sorry. Say for example 1. All other things are random only. So if you get nonce with last digit as 1, you solve the puzzle. That's it. So the hash value of that particular set of transactions should have a puzzle with this digit matching, and nonce initially was very big number. Bigger the nonce, lower the difficulty. Smaller the nonce, higher the difficulty. Okay, so okay, now let me ask, did you understand? Yes, it depends on luck. Yes. So how to calculate the hash value? See, hash value is nothing but there is a SHA-256 hash generator with every node. Whatever data comes in, all the transactions which are pooled for that block, that will be given as an input. It's a line of code, that's it. And the hash value will be automatically generated. And the hash value will be compared. Everything is a script. There is no human intervention here. Yeah, nonce means yes, empty fields which need not be considered when you are matching the hash value. And all nodes are trying to solve the same puzzle, yes, but the node which solves the puzzle first will be rewarded. That's it. See, all runners in the Olympics are running, but only the one who crosses the first line, crosses the line first, will be given gold. That's it. What happens if a node removes few transactions from a block? What will happen to those transactions? They will wait for next block, and till 4 MB size is filled, all the transactions will be accommodated. Okay, if a block is if the number of transactions are high, more than size of 4 MB, those transactions will be left for next block. Okay, yes Navya, it is based on luck only. That's a random. No one knows who will solve the next puzzle. That randomness is what creating the robustness, right? Because no one knows who is going to add a next block. That is why everyone will be sincere for every block, because they don't want to lose the opportunity of adding a block and getting reward. That is game theory. Is it clear, Navya? Puzzle is formed after the transactions. No, I mean, see, that is again an internal thing. Probably I'm not sure about it, but for every 10 minutes, a new puzzle will be generated by protocol. It is system protocol driven only. It will not wait for some transactions to happen actually. See, if puzzle is being formed after transactions, Rohit, then there are no transactions in Genesis block. Then how come the puzzle is generated? Rohit? Okay. Let's say money transaction is made. Will the receiver wait for money until all transactions get accepted to a block? Yeah, confirmation happens only if a transaction is part of block. So they need to wait for 10 minutes. That is the only bottleneck with Bitcoin. It is slow, but it is robust and it is global and the transaction fee is less. If 243 or 242 bits are matched but not 244, does it mean the puzzle is solved? See, other than nonce number bits, other than the fields above nonce, if they are matching, that is good. Okay. Even if few more bits match, it is also good. But who solves the puzzle first matters a lot. Okay. Generally, we try to match the first bits to zeros in Bitcoin. Please tell this in regard of Bitcoin. I didn't understand, Teja. Yes. So it's a mathematical function, Gayatri. Like I showed you, right? SHA 256 generator. Gayatri, do you remember? I opened a hash generator online and I entered some data and a hash value is getting generated. It's an algorithm. That's it. It's a piece of code which is randomizing things. That's it. Okay. Generally, we try to match first bits to zeros. Teja, I didn't get your question. Yes, Venkata, I will explain you that. Okay, see how the puzzles are chosen, I will explain you. So say for example, sir, is it sure that the system is a DApp, then the puzzle going to given randomly by any one of the nodes in the network? Yeah, all nodes will have the same puzzle. They will see puzzle is nothing but a random number generated by puzzle. Okay, so each node will fetch the puzzle. It will compare with the puzzle. If matches, then automatically, see, I'll tell you. All headers are hashed while solving the puzzle. Okay, if puzzle is solved, then automatically in the code itself you will write value, what is the reward at that point of time, what is the transaction fee, and this is the public key. Then this new coins and transaction fee will be logged to this public address. Everything is a code. Okay, everything is a script. Okay, like you are seeing nonce, like that. Every nonce based on nonce, the difficulty is decided. Based on difficulty, the time to solve puzzle is decided. Okay, but the protocol will make sure to adjust the puzzle such a way that at least one node will be able to solve the puzzle in 10 minutes time slot. Okay, so that is how the puzzle works. Okay, say for example, how the difficulty is decided. Okay, target equal to difficulty 1 target by current difficulty. Okay, that is how it will calculate. So you can go and explore this. Okay, you can go and explore how the difficulty is decided. Difficulty is updated every 2 weeks. So for every 2016 blocks, new difficulty will be generated. And how will it calculate the new difficulty? Previous difficulty into 14 days by time taken to mine last 2016 blocks. So everything is mathematical, and the difficulty fluctuates based on the number of nodes available at a point of time and number of transactions happening the time taken by previous blocks addition, everything will be taken into consideration to define the target and difficulty. Target is nothing but the puzzle. Okay, and this is hash rate. Exa is 2020, I think. What is 1 second? Okay, 1 exa hash, 1 peta is tera is 10 to the power of 9. Exa means 10 to the power of 12, I guess. Okay, so those many hashes are calculated across the network. Okay, at least in 2018, 48.92 exa hashes per second are calculated by all the nodes in the network. And someone always asks, sir, is Bitcoin consuming a lot of power? Yes. Of course, all the nodes in the network are doing lot of computations, calculating hash, matching it with puzzle, broadcasting it, receiving it, verifying it. So every execution is also the effort which is being put by node. And that is what is called as proof of work. What is the work done by the computers? They are calculating the hash, matching it with the puzzle. And whose hashes it is calculating? The transactions which are validated by them. And how many transactions are being validated in a block? 4 MB size of transactions are being validated every time. Okay, so there are different ways in which trying random nonce every time versus sequential. So all the nodes will be trying a combination. If not matching, next sequence, next sequence. So like that, it goes in a sequential order. Okay, and who should solve the first? The fastest computer? No, because every node has its own unique set of transaction pools. So even though there is a fastest computer, if the fastest computer calculated hash value and it is not matching with the puzzle, it doesn't matter, right? But a little slower computer, it calculated hash value with the pool it has, with the pool of transaction it has, and if it is matching, that will get opportunity to add the block. So the randomization is helping the nodes to have a level playing field. Okay, when I say level playing field, whether you put a fastest node, whether you put a slow node, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of randomization and it's a matter of luck. And even though you solve the puzzle, but if you have included some false transactions, then because you got opportunity to add block, if you try to do some manipulation, then the block which is broadcasted to all will be rejected, and you will not get the rewards. So the next node which solves the puzzle will get the opportunity. So who will know, or how you will know whether who solved the puzzle first? Okay, that is where forking comes. I'll explain you soft fork, hard fork. There are two types of forks. I'll discuss in coming slides. Okay, so what did you understand from this puzzle? A puzzle is a random number generated by protocol with a nonce, and it is nonce which defines the difficulty of the puzzle, and all nodes will be calculating hashes by doing lots of permutations and combinations of transactions which they receive. Okay, so that is what makes the puzzle what to say, little random, and everyone gets opportunity. Okay, and there is, yeah, if we think A, B, C are solving the puzzle, if A solve the puzzle, then what will happen to work done by B and C? It is wasted. Yes. Yes, Dharani. B and C calculating hash value is waste, but they are all validating the transactions, which is a good. Okay, so it is waste for them, but it is good for the transaction, because all the nodes in the network are agreeing on the transaction that it is correct or not. Okay, so with respect to reward, yes, for B and C they didn't get anything. They need to wait for next chance and next chance. Okay, so till you get opportunity to add block, you need to wait. There is no other way to what to say, other way to do it. Okay, other way of getting reward, there is no possibility. What if two nodes solve a puzzle at the same time? That is when soft fork happens. I'll explain you that. Okay, it's a rare situation. If it happens, there is a mechanism to do it. Okay, I'll explain that. Okay, so I hope some questions which were asked, so I hope you acknowledge that whenever time comes, I am explaining the questions which I told, I will explain later. Okay, so even if I miss something, try to remind me. Hello. Okay, now coming to the different computing resources. So previously when Bitcoin got started, initially the difficulty was pretty low. Okay, that is why with normal CPUs also the blockchains, I mean the Bitcoins were mined at that time. So slowly as the number of nodes in the network increased, difficulty got increased, nonce got decreased, and the number of hashes to be calculated to solve the puzzle increased. And that is what made people to move from CPUs to GPUs. Then again difficulty kept on increasing step by step as more number of nodes are being deployed. So what happened next? People started using FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays. And field programmable gate arrays are specially designed architectures which are faster than GPUs. Okay, and then with time the difficulty increased more. Then people moved to ASICs. ASIC is nothing but application specific integrated circuits. Today there are chipsets which are there are microprocessors and chipsets which are specially designed for mining itself. And this innovation is again by China, because it is manufacturing hub of the world. China took this as an opportunity and they designed application specific integrated circuits. And if you look at Bitcoin mining, at least 30% of Bitcoin mining happens in China, because there the hardware is cheap and lot of people bought nodes and they are mining the currency. Okay, now someone asked, what if lot of only few players are mining the Bitcoins and all? Okay, I will explain you at the time of discussing Bitcoin pools, mining pools. Okay, so ASIC is nothing but a chipset which is specially designed for this, and it gives 10x improvement over FPGA. See, demand is what is like people say, right? Necessity is the mother of invention. So from CPUs to GPUs to FPGAs to ASICs, the hardware infrastructure to mine Bitcoins got evolved over a period of time. And today, at least at that time when I created this, there is one Bitcoin miner, Ant miner. I think you can search in Amazon. I don't know if they are available or not, but 13.5 tera hashes per second is what the capacity of this, and it costs around 2,35,000. I think now they became little cheaper, but there are few high performance nodes also. But still, even if you deploy a high speed node, still a slow speed node has its own probability to solve the puzzle because of randomization. Okay, so that is what made people to buy these application specific integrated circuits to calculate more hashes per second and compare. Okay, so slowly everyone started upgrading their infrastructure. Okay, so at least with respect to the today's network hash power, the probability that you get an opportunity to mine a block is 60 years. 60 years. Okay, that means expecting the baddest, I mean the worst situation, 60 years it will take. But if you are lucky enough, if you are fair enough, the number of hashes you need to calculate, only after calculating 4 to 5 hashes, maybe the puzzle is matching with the puzzle with the hash value you created. So it's all randomization, it's all luck, and that is what the true decentralization is all about. No one knows who will solve the puzzle next. Okay, and today's I think this I calculated long back, but for the node, for the investment you put, for the power, all the things if you put, at least in a year, if you could get opportunity to solve puzzle at least once, you will get 6% of ROI, return on investment. Okay, but these numbers are changing rapidly. I'm not sure if this number is still valid. Okay, but over a period of time, things are becoming tough to mine and all. Okay, the investment is becoming high. Okay, so that is why what people are doing, the miners who initially mined Bitcoins, they are selling their Bitcoins and they are building new infrastructure. Okay, so that is how miners are sending the coins which they mined, and they are making money, and they are making profits. And the people who are buying Bitcoins, they are just buying because it is an asset. So over a period of time, if value of Bitcoin goes more, they can sell it to other person and they can make profits. So that is the intent with which miners and traders or users transact Bitcoins. Okay. Now this is what leading to mining pools. So what happened is, as the probability of solving the puzzle is becoming low and low every time with time, the concept of mining pools have come, where a group of people will maintain a mining pool, and if at least one node solves the puzzle, they will share the reward among themselves so that they can sustain over a period of time. So today you solve the puzzle, share it. Tomorrow you solve the puzzle, you share it. Okay, and day after tomorrow, if I solve the puzzle and I got rewards, I will share with you. So that is how group of people are coming together to maintain the mining pool. But you might get a doubt, sir, if all group of people are coming together to maintain a node, will it create collusion? Will it not solve, will it make the collusion possible? No. Why? Because a blockchain network is trustworthy till 51% of the nodes are trustworthy. So today there are 1 lakh plus nodes and there are no mining pools which are maintaining 51% of nodes. So that is why it is trustworthy enough and it is not a wrong thing to do. So instead of investing the mining, it's better to invest in mining companies. I mean, it depends on you. Like, it depends on what kind of benefit they are giving for every rupee you invest. Okay. But anyways, as engineers, I think you should be more concerned about the technical aspects of it. Okay. And probably it's up to you on how or what investment or decisions you can take. Okay. So will a transaction goes to every node or single node? Every node. Every transaction goes to every node. Okay. If a single node, then how transaction is taking only 10 minutes, then 60 years. No, as a to solve the puzzle, it takes the chance to solve the puzzle will take 60 years. Okay. So Amrita schooling, I think Pavan, right? The probability that you get chance to solve the puzzle is 60 years. Okay. But across the network, a node getting a chance to puzzle will happen in 10 minutes only. Okay. What will happen if 51% nodes collaborate? Then the value of Bitcoin will go down because people will start not trusting it. Okay. Slowly the demand will go down. As demand goes down, value will go down. That is why mining pools will take that precaution that they won't reach 51% of the network, because it's a loss for them also, right? Miners are the people who get rewards. So why will they collude? It's a loss for them. Will you do something which is loss for you? No, right? Everyone is like that. So similarly, the mining pools will come to that logic. They won't collaborate beyond 50%. Is it clear, Rakesh? So mining rewards, there are multiple methods: pay per share, proportional sharing. I think, okay. So at least in mining pools with respect to 2018, BTC.com has 18.7% of nodes in the world. It's a mining pool. Unknown is again a second pool name which has 13% of nodes. But all these nodes are again individual nodes only. Okay. And 13% of nodes can't influence or can't manipulate any blockchain as a whole, because even if these 13% of nodes collude, the other 87% of nodes will reject those transactions or blocks. Okay. So that is what makes blockchain robust, even if mining pools are happening. So someone was asking mining pools or if same mining, so this is the answer. Okay. So all you need to understand is how the mining of Bitcoins through computation system evolved from CPU, GPU, FPGA, ASIC, and today in China and in some locations, there are huge warehouse where thousands and thousands of nodes are being deployed and maintained. So if you look at evolution of gold also, gold mining, previously people used to use a gold pan to filter the gold, small gold nuggets, and they used to export. Okay. Now then, sluice box. some mechanism, some mechanical things, then placer mining, then pit mining. So like how gold mining evolved, Bitcoin mining also evolved over a period of time. Okay, and there is also one more thing with respect to is mining waste of money, or sorry, waste of energy. There is a comment by many regarding this, but let me tell you, Bitcoin is a bit digital currency, right? But if you look at the fiat currency also requires energy. To print notes, what do you need? Paper. For paper, what do you need? Cotton and some other materials. And all those materials comes from trees. So trees are transported to cotton manufacturers or paper manufacturers, and papers get manufactured. They are cut. They are transported again to RBI or some places where the notes are printed. Again, notes are printed. They are distributed to banks, ATM machines. There is a lot of transportation, pollution, petrol, energy consumption, and all banks are maintaining ATMs, and all bank employees will be sitting in front of computers. All these computers also consume energy. And for counting the notes, banks use coin dispense separators, note dispensers, note separators. That also consumes energy. So if you are comparing energy of mining with fiat currency, then fiat currency also consumes lot of power. And second thing, in Bitcoin, there is no scope for a serial number which is getting duplicated. But in fiat currency is nothing but our notes, general notes. So in fiat currency, same serial number can be there but multiple notes. We don't know how many duplicate notes are there in circulation. So RBI themselves, they don't know what is happening with the money, or how much money got locked somewhere. No one knows. But in Bitcoin, even though you don't know who owns a account, but still you know how much money is in circulation, how much money is locked for long time. All these details are visible. Okay, so as a currency, Bitcoin is transparent. Okay, but fiat currency is not transparent. With respect to users, banking system today is transparent, but Bitcoin is anonymous. So Bitcoin is a swap of fiat currency. Okay, I hope you understood. So don't compare or don't look Bitcoin on how people are misusing it. See, it's up to them. Even with fiat currency, there is money laundering happening, there is hawala happening, and there is a lot of illegal things happening. So with respect to currency wise, Bitcoin is definitely transparent, robust. The only thing is, of course, wrong people are always there and they are misusing it. But even if banking system is there, is it, can you confidently say fiat currency, no money laundering is happening? Off the bank transactions happen a lot. Okay, so don't attach the usage of technology with technology itself. That's a blunder, and that is what made Indian government to ban it, and some governments to ban it. But always remember, whether you ban it or not, the people who want to do something wrong will always do it. Okay, so that is what or that is how at least I look at it, and probably you may have your own opinions on it, but all I can tell you is Bitcoin mining is not a waste of energy. It is the asset, the computation power and the power consumed is the asset which is backing the currency. And of course, over a period of time, the mining infrastructure is becoming more efficient and less power consuming, so that the mining becomes eco-friendly. Okay, so this is with respect to mining. So now let's look at if someone has some questions. So regarding the mining hash puzzle, how the transactions happen, is it clear? There are few tech pages on Instagram which are telling Bitcoin can be shut down entirely. Is it true? How can Bitcoin be shut down entirely? When all the governments in the world should come together. Do you think it will happen? No. I think I highlighted this already. If US says something, if US says yes, okay, then China will say no. Russia will say no, okay, or North Korea will say no. I'll allow Bitcoin nodes. If few nodes are there, no one can do anything with respect to the network, okay. And you know what? Governments are smart enough. At least if you look at US, Singapore, UK governments, what they are trying to do is okay, you trade Bitcoins, don't worry. Okay, you can trade, you can use it. But if you are gaining some profit on it, pay 20% taxes. That is US government stake. You know that? In US, if you are using an exchange and you are trading Bitcoins, you need to pay profit, you need to pay capital tax on the profits you gained. That's a good thing, right? It's a new income to the government. But again, Indian government, because there are a lot of people who are not aware of the tech side of things, and there is a probability that most of the people get cheated. So that is why Indian government banned it. Okay. Anyways, Indian government doesn't look only in the profit side. Somewhere, somehow, the approach with which we see is the benefit of the people, right? If you look at COVID situation also, US has not put any ban, what to say, lockdown. They said, if you want to lock down yourself. If you want to roam outside, roam out. Yes, but if you look at India, we are more people centric and we are health centric, not on a profit centric mode. Okay, I'm not talking about politicians, I'm talking about the system as a whole, as a country. Okay, so always try to understand this is a bipolar world and nothing can happen at a global level. Okay. Yeah, Google or Facebook. See, if you take Google and Facebook, they are banned in China. China has Baidu. China has some other app for Facebook, similar to Facebook. So I think banning is not a right step to do. Okay. So 1 second, I'll now let me explain Bitcoin forks. Okay. Okay. Now, when a new block is received, the node will look at the block's previous block hash field, which is reference to the new block's parent. Nothing but when a new block is being created, the hash value of latest block is added in the new block so that they are cryptographically chained with each other. Okay. Now, So the node will attempt to find that parent in the existing blockchain. And most of the time, the parent will be at the tip of the main chain. So is one person introduced Bitcoin or group of people behind it? No one knows about that, Abdul. Okay, we don't know whether Satoshi Nakamoto is a person or a group of computer scientists or no. I mean, no one knows that. Okay, and what is Merkle root? Merkle root is nothing but I'll explain that in the after these forks. Okay, so let me complete forks first. Now, a fork occurs whenever there are two candidate blocks competing to form the longest chain. That means there are, in a given time slot, two nodes solve the puzzle. Okay, so in that case, what will happen and what should happen? And this is what soft fork. Soft fork is nothing but at a time there are two nodes which solve the puzzle and there are two blocks which are trying to compete with each other. So in that case, which block should be added and which block should be discarded? For that purpose, there is a mechanism, and let's discuss that. So the final step in Bitcoin's decentralized consensus mechanism is assembly of blocks into chains and the selection of chain with the most proof of work. Okay, so the most proof of work is nothing but, say for example, there is a block. Okay, one second, I'll go to a slide. Okay, and then I'll explain you. Now imagine there is a blockchain and the blockchain's recent block is block P. And this block P is broadcasted to all the nodes and all the nodes in the network agreed upon this block. And that is why every node has the blockchain and the latest block is block P in every node's memory. Okay, that means local copy. Now imagine a scenario where there is a node in US which solved the puzzle and I found a block extending the blockchain. That means a node solved the puzzle and it started it signed it and it started broadcasting. As and when every node validates the block, verifies it, if it is matching with the hash puzzle, it will add to their local copy, it will broadcast. Each node will do the same process and so on. Similarly, there is a node in Australia which solved the puzzle. Okay, and this puzzle again is a new different block, a green block, let's assume green block, and that is propagated and so on. And over a period of time, what happened is half of the network nodes has new block as block B, which is green. Then the other half of the network has block A, which is accepted by these nodes. Now, what happens? Unless until all nodes in the network agree upon a block, then only a block is added to the network, right? Now here is a dilemma. So this situation is called as soft fork. And for soft fork, the simple solution is wait till next block is added. Wait till next puzzle is being solved. That's it. That is a simple step. And forks are almost always resolved within a block. Now what happens is no block is committed and no transactions in block A or block B are confirmed yet. Okay, so they wait for the next time slot. Now in next time slot, what happens? There is a block somewhere in Russia, okay, which solved the puzzle. And because this Russian node which solved the puzzle has green block as its recent block, he will add the purple block which he created to green block, and he will start propagating it. Okay, and remember why this red nodes doesn't know till purple block is added? Because it confirmed that this block A is the correct block and the node solved it. The puzzle is solved. Okay, so it added to the local copy. That's it. And it doesn't know that there is another block, green block, which is solved by other part of the network. So because this is a decentralized network, right? So it does, I mean, there is no central server to communicate with all that. Oh yeah, come on, you have a green block and red block. So there is no central server which is communicating that. Everything is happening organically. So in this scenario, what happens? The next block gets added to green block. So the blue block, then green, then purple. So this becomes the longest chain. So the longest chain is deemed to be correct. And adding a block to the longest chain is rewarded. So the Australian node which added green block will be rewarded, and all the transactions in green block will be confirmed. But all the transactions in the block A will be still in waiting position, and the block A will be discarded. And see the bad luck of this node in US which added block A. Why is it bad luck? Because the probability to add a block itself is rare, and it got the probability, it got successful. And the problem is there is some other node also which solved the puzzle in the same time slot. And both Australian node and US node waited for next block. Luckily, the Russian node which solved the next block puzzle added it to the green box. And that is how the longest chain occurred. So this is what is called as soft fork. Now let's talk about hard fork. Okay. So hard fork is nothing but, imagine, so one of the best example for hard fork is Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. So these are, so I'll show you in 1 second. I'll show you in browser. So someone was answering last time, what if upgrade happens, okay, or value of Bitcoin gets changed or something, right? So then forking happens. So that was not correct. Okay, when a hard fork is happening, is nothing but half of the nodes in the network are following the same protocol, and other part of the network, they want to upgrade a protocol. Then two different protocols will happen. So all the nodes which are with the present protocol will continue with the blockchain. Okay, now all the part of the nodes which moved to other protocol, upgraded protocol, will have Genesis block again created, and it will create a new blockchain. And you know what? Bitcoin is the Bitcoin Classic, which is created in 2009. But Bitcoin Cash is different blockchain. And do you know the difference between Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash? Everything is same except block size. What is the difference? Except block size, everything is same. In Bitcoin, the block size is 4 MB, and in Bitcoin Cash, the size is 8 MB. That means Bitcoin Cash can accommodate more transactions within 10 minutes time slot. So in order to make Bitcoin faster, a new protocol upgrade happened which created Bitcoin Cash. And some people, they don't want to go to new protocol. Okay, because they believe that Bitcoin, even though it is slow, it should continue like that only. That is what makes Bitcoin robust. If you are increasing the number of transactions per block, okay, then what happens? The transaction fees may come up, but the circulation happening will get impacted. So those people who are worried that that will decrease the value of the Bitcoin stayed with that protocol only, old protocol only. Okay, so that is what hard fork is all, nothing but. Okay, and fork, you know, right? What is the difference between a spoon and fork? In fork, you will have 2 to 3 separations which happen after some time, right? So here 2 different chains will be created all together in hard fork. But in soft fork, two extensions happen, but still they will be resolved soon. That is why it is called as soft fork. Can we expect another hard fork? Yes, Rakesh, it depends on the nodes. If they want to do some upgrade and few people accepted, few people didn't accept, fork will happen. If all the nodes in the network accepts, no forking. The same ledger will continue. Okay. Is it the same hard fork happened to Ethereum Classic on August 6th? No. See, actually what happened with Ethereum has the functionality of smart contracts, and there was a security loophole of Ethereum Classic where some hackers okay, I'll come to that later. There is a DAO attack which happened on Ethereum network, and in order to fill that loophole, Ethereum blockchain network created a hard fork and it started again. Okay, so Venkata, that fork is completely different. Okay, see, Bitcoin doesn't support any functionality of programming. Okay, but Ethereum gave a functionality programmable functionality where there is a security loophole in smart contract which was leveraged. Ethereum network was robust, but the application layer has some loophole, and in order to fill that loophole, a complete upgrade happened. So that is the hard fork which happened at that time. Okay. Could a single node of the blockchain create hard fork? Of course, yes, because that means you have created a new protocol with little changes. Okay, now it's only you as a single node who started that. So that is like how Bitcoin node was first started with one node. Similarly, a node will do that. Yes, Genesis block is completely different. We can look at it. Okay, so, and I think later all Bitcoin classic people made the 1 MB to 4 MB. At this point of time, it is 4 MB. Okay, but Bitcoin Cash size is 8 MB. No, they didn't increase the size of transaction. They increased the size of block. Block size got increased. So in soft fork, only green block will be rewarded. Red block will not get rewarded because red block is discarded, right? It is not added to the longest chain. So all the nodes in the Bitcoin which created hard fork take the coins away. No, those nodes will have two wallets. Those users will have the Bitcoin wallet also, but as a node, they are maintaining the different protocol. So two wallets will be there. In the new wallet, they will have Bitcoin Cash. In the old wallet, they will have Bitcoin coins, Bitcoins. But the problem is, these nodes will not maintain the Bitcoin. So Bitcoin Cash nodes will not maintain the Bitcoin ledger. Okay, is it clear, Balaji? How then? Okay, yes, sir. How is it possible to modify the protocol? See, protocol is also a code, right? At the end of the day. So Satoshi Nakamoto, how he created protocol. Similarly, all these protocols are open source. Tomorrow you can download, and if you know how to code a protocol or how to do some changes, you can create your own coin, Rakesh coin. That is how a lot of new blockchains emerged. Quorum. So Ethereum blockchain is open source. So JP Morgan as a company did some changes and they created Quorum. Quorum is also a blockchain based on Ethereum protocol, but with little changes. Okay. Sir, can both the forks happen for a transaction? No, it won't. See, fork can't happen at a transaction level. Okay. So now we can manipulate the protocol. Yes, manipulate the protocol. If you change the protocol, the node will be moved out of the network. Of course, you can manipulate, but you will become a hard fork. The node will become a hard fork and it will come out. Unless until you follow the same protocol, your system will work in sync with those nodes. Is it clear, Navya? Hello. Say for example, there is a protocol in exams that for 100 marks you should get 40 marks to pass. Okay, and on your paper, okay, on your piece of paper, question paper, you have changed that 40 to 30 and you got only 30. So with respect to you, you are a pass. Okay, you are pass, but with respect to system, you are fail. So similarly, if you change the protocol, then all the nodes in the network or all the nodes in the network will reject whatever transaction you did. You will no longer be part of that network at all. Okay, if hard fork happens, node will become valid. Yes, that's it. That's simple. Harika, hard fork is nothing but there is a decentralized network of 1000 systems, imagine. So 600 systems want to continue with same protocol. 400 nodes in the network want to change their protocol. Then two networks. So from a one big network, two separate blockchain networks will come. One will continue with the old one. New part will have a new Genesis block, and again a new blockchain will be created. New currency, new rules, new regulations. Okay. So I think with this, understanding of Bitcoin is done. Okay. Soft fork and hard fork at a time. I mean, what is the logic behind that? I didn't understand. See, soft fork is when two nodes in the network solve the puzzle at a time. Hard fork is something not random. Okay. Hard fork is not a random thing to happen. All the nodes in the network through a community, they will decide and they will accept upgrade or not. Okay, so soft fork is random, hard fork is certain. So why will both happen at a time? Even if that happens, what is the challenge? Nothing, it's not a problem at all. Yes, Abdul. Even though two nodes solve the puzzle, only one will be rewarded. Only parent block is rewarded, other discarded block is not rewarded. But in Ethereum, if a soft fork happens, the block which is created as a separate thing is called as uncle block. So parent block, uncle block. So in Ethereum, they are kind enough to give some rewards because uncle block also solved the puzzle. But in Bitcoin, there is nothing, no way you will get rewarded for discarded block. Okay. Sai Venkata Reddy. You need to understand that only when a block is confirmed, okay, only when a block is confirmed by all the nodes in the network, it will become part of local copy of all the nodes. So the red block which is discarded has not become the copy of all the nodes in the network. So it's not yet a valid block. So that will be discarded by the protocol. See how the blocks are linked with each other? Hash pointer, right? So the red block, there is no block in the network which is pointing to the red block. So that will be a separate thing. Okay. It will be like a side chain, which is not at all cared by anyone. That's it. Okay. So if 1, 2, 3 transaction are start in order respectively, is there any probability that chain will be 1, 2, 3? See, there are two ways in which a node will choose a transaction. One, if more the transaction fee, the node will select the transaction first because transaction fee high, and if he gets the chance to add block, it will get reward, right? Second point of priority is if a transaction is more older, it will be selected first because it's been waiting for a long time. So it will be selected first. So these are the parameters in which the transactions are selected, Dharani. So of course, 1, 2, 3, if transactions happen in a particular time order 1, 2, 3, yes, the probability that first transaction happens first is correct. It is possible. But if the transaction fee of 3 is high, then based on the logic, 3 may be selected first because there is a good transaction fee. Okay, so there are two parameters based on which a transaction is selected. Is it clear, Dharani? The nodes which are following Bitcoin protocol, they should accept the protocol. then only they can join to that network. Yes, of course. See, today you are using internet. For every website you will enter www.something.com or .co.in. Why should you type only www? Why not hhh dot? You need to follow the protocol, then only you will be able to connect with it. So similarly in blockchain or Bitcoin network also, every node should follow the protocol. Yeah, Shashank. Yes, World Wide Web. I didn't ask full form of www. All I am saying is you are accepting the www.com. So any more questions? Will a new block be generated only when the previous block confirmed? For every new block, there will be a parent block, and a parent block is nothing but the previous block which is confirmed. Okay. So it is not like previous block gets confirmed, then only new block generated. No. A new block generated will be pointed to the recent block which is confirmed. Okay. See, if that is the case, Balaji, at the time of soft fork, what about red block? It is previously confirmed only, but new block is not added to that. Okay. So, is it clear, Balaji? Yeah. Okay. So I think today, Bitcoin is done. Okay. So I think there is one thing which is pending yet, wallet creation. So tomorrow we'll see the wallet creation. Okay. So other than that, I think every concept of Bitcoin is covered. Okay. So I hope you got a picture of what or how blockchain or how Bitcoin works. Okay. So I think once this is done, I said I'll share a reference doc. So I'll share all the key concepts of Bitcoin, and you can do it. Okay. So once recap UTXO and balance. UTXO is unspent transaction output. Okay. So unspent transaction is output is nothing but where all the balances, not balances, all the coins and their present owner details will be there in UTXO. Okay. And if a wallet wants to calculate the balance for a corresponding public address, all the coins which are scattered in UTXO will be added together and the balance will be calculated. Okay. So Saturday class, I'll inform. Most probably it will be there, but still, if it's not there, I will inform you at least a day before. Okay. I told you, Pranit, as red block is discarded, all those transactions will be in queue and they will be added in the next block. So if you have any questions on Bitcoin, ask now. I'll be there for another 2 minutes. And I'm sure most of the questions which are asked in previous sessions and all, I took them, I connected them, and I explained you. Merkle root, right? Yeah. So, okay, I'll explain this. 1 second. Just give me a moment. So what is this Merkle root? Now there is a block. Okay, there are transactions, and along with transactions, this is x. Okay, x minus 1, x plus 1. Now the hash value of x minus 1 will be stored in block x. Similarly, the hash of x is stored in x plus 1. That is why this block is pointing, hash pointing to this. So the hash value of previous block is stored in present block always. Okay, now how is this hash calculated? Every transaction will have a hash value. Okay, so now imagine there are 4 transactions in this block. Okay, so transaction 1 will have hash value 1, transaction 2 hash 2, transaction 3 hash 3, transaction 4 hash 4. Okay, now hash 1 2 will be calculated, hash 3 4 will be calculated, then hash 1 2 3 4 will be calculated. Okay, and this is what becomes the hash of block. So like this, similarly in this there is transaction 5 6 7 8. So 5 6 7 8. Okay, now these two things, so like this all the hashes of blocks are also calculated, and at core there will be Merkle root. Okay, so at a given point of time everything is binarily split, binary, like 2 2 2 2 2 2 and so on. So this is how a tree, a huge tree structure, a data tree structure is created in blockchain. So Merkle root is calculated. Okay, what's the use of Merkle root? Miners try different nonce with different block hash, and transactions data hash. How do they know they solve the puzzle? They'll compare the hash they calculated, and they will check whether they solved it or not. So use of Merkle root is nothing but every time a new transactions are verified, okay, the verification. So say for example, transaction 1 is to be verified. Okay, so the protocol or the verification will happen like Merkle root to this, to this, and to this. Okay, so partial verification is a concept. Just by comparing the hash of 1 2 3 4, you can verify H1. So you need not go deeper. So similarly, if all the transactions are intact or not can be checked with Merkle root. Okay, so each node is maintaining the copy of whole blockchain, right? So at the time of comparison, at the time of syncing, Merkle root is used. Okay, if there is an odd transaction, it will wait for the next transaction to come. Okay, that will be left simple. See, if imagine there is 5 transactions in this block, so a transaction can't split it between blocks. Okay, so it will be only H5. Okay, it will create only H5, that's it. What's there? Can we mine with zero balance? Yeah, yes, you can. The first nodes mined with the zero balance only, right? But you can't transact below 0.1 BTC. The minimum transaction you need to do transaction amount is 0.1 BTC. Okay. Okay, guys, I think finally we are done with Bitcoin. Okay, so tomorrow let's see Ethereum. Okay, and then hands-on. Yeah, bye, Sahitya. Thanks for hosting.